Hey guys, welcome to the Something About Tuesdays podcast. I'm your host, Phebe Joi. Join me every other Tuesday for a lighthearted podcast to keep you company while you do your thing. Hey guys, and welcome back. It is episode 4 of Something About Tuesdays. I'm your host, Phebe Joi, and welcome. Hi, hey. I am so glad that you are here. So glad that you're bringing me along for the ride. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode, so let's jump right in. So last episode, I had touched a little bit on the whole idea or purpose behind the title of Something About Tuesdays and kind of what led me to start a podcast-ish and all of that stuff. And I talked about how, for me, Something About Tuesdays represent how Tuesdays is metaphorically and sometimes literally that time where it's that place between who I am and who I want to be. And it's that time I often find where I realize that maybe I'm not as perfect as I hoped and just thought I was, because after all, I'm only human, right? So thinking about imperfections, I was thinking about that, and because as an incident, I'm sorry. I don't even want to call it an incident. It's not even an incident. A situation that happened this last week or so. I was hoping to get up early, get enough time to wake up, pray, go to Panera Bread, all before I had to be at work. That was the goal. That was the plan. And I got up somewhat early-ish, but I ran out of time to really do hardly anything. But I still wanted to try to make it to Panera. And so just for me to feel good. And I'll tell you guys about Panera here in a minute. But my goal was to try to get to Panera, to make it there, to get my hot tea, hopefully to run into a friend of mine who works there that I've been trying to connect with, and to get some quick me time before I had to go into work. But what ended up happening was I realized that if I went to Panera, I'd really only get 5, maybe 10 minutes there before I would have to leave. So in my brain, I was like, is it even worth it? Like, why drive over to Panera just to get 5 or 10 minutes of me time and then go to work when I could just go straight to work and get things done? But I said, you know what? For me, even for 5 minutes, I'm going to do something for me this morning and hopefully run into this friend that I'm trying to connect with. So I did end up going to Panera, and it's kind of funny because when I went in, there was only a couple people there. My friend that I was hoping to run into actually wasn't there. I will say this, so we're not quite friends yet. We're friends in the sense that she has seen me there a few times, and I know she works there, but I'm trying to build that friendship. She's someone who I want to become friends with, and so she wasn't there, but I know that another lady was there who I think they're friends, and so I was just like, man, oh, that's okay. I'm gonna still get my hot tea. So there were 2 people at the cashier spot, and so I was, ringing up my hot tea. Well, I knew that her friend was the other lady who was not the person ringing me up. And so I kind of wanted to smile and make connections, but I didn't want to awkwardly be like, hey, where's so-and-so, because I don't know her that well. But this guy had came in, and he came up to her and he said, hey, when's so-and-so coming back? And she said she will be back actually in a couple of days. And I was like, are you talking about our friend? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I can't wait for her to come back. And she was like, oh my goodness, like everybody's missing her. I was like, yeah, she's such a wonderful person. And just that very quick conversation meant so much that I was still, even though I didn't get to see the person I was looking for, I was still able to connect with someone who was friends with her and to realize that and just to learn a little more about her. Like, she's so open to everyone. Like, everyone I had met, everyone she had talked to, it seemed like just she got along with. That's why I said, man, I want to be her friend, because she is so kind to people. And just, she's one of those people who brings joy to people's life. I was like, I just want to get to know her. She's a stranger right now, but I want to get to know her. And so for me, that Panera trip was not wasted by any means. because I still got to have a connection. I still got to be like, oh, hey, and make contact with her friends. And I was validated in thinking like, yeah, she is very friendly to everyone. And I was like, this is great. Like, even though my imperfections, I got here late. I did not get here when I wanted to. I only have 5 minutes. I didn't have time to do it. It still was it still was able to work out that I was there exactly when I needed to be, to still make a connection, to still kind of develop a friendship, even with her not being there in the perfect moment, because that guy didn't have to be there right then, to bring her up and help facilitate that conversation. He wouldn't have been there if I was there 20 minutes before or what have you. So I was kind of reminded that, you know what? I may not be perfect, but God is, and he knows that I'm not perfect, and things can still be worked out in a way that it can still work out for good. So I ended up, getting my hot tea. I didn't stay long because I didn't have time to stay, but I left feeling better, feeling like I'm doing something for me and hopefully to make a new friend and to just, build my own personal life before I even got to work. So I felt accomplished even before I got to work, even though it didn't happen the way that I thought it should, even though it wasn't perfect and I didn't get there right at the time I wanted to. It still happened, I think, perfectly. And so I just want to encourage you that if there are moments that you feel like you have failed or you feel like I didn't do it quite right, you know what? That may be part of the plan. God knows when we gonna mess up. It doesn't surprise him. So it could be part of the plan. Now, I'm not saying go about, being imperfect on purpose, but I am saying that give yourself a little grace, because good things can still come out of imperfection and things like that. And kind of along those same lines, one of the things that I know that I believe God's working with me on is slowing down. So, and I mean slowing down across the board, slowing down in my life, slowing down in my speech, because I realize from listening back to my podcast, when I get excited, I start talking faster because I'm excited. And it's everybody, because I've started paying attention now to other people, and I'm like, okay, I'm not alone in this. But sometimes when things are just happening around us, it's so easy to be like, and you just get to going, and I get to going, and life gets to going. And I decided to listen to the advice of my pastor's son. He had preached and was like, listen, take a moment to linger, after you've prayed. Because sometimes I'll pray and I'm like, all right, God, thank you, love you, I'll see you later. And it was just me talking like a podcast, like letting him know about my life and then being gone and not hearing anything from him, and, not even reading my word. And so I'm working on that. Like I said, it's a journey. I'm working on it. So for this time, I remember I sat beside my bed and I said, okay, I had prayed, not quite like that. But I had sat there and I was like, all right, okay, if there's anything that I need to think about, what would it be? What would you want to say? And literally, I just thought, like, what came to my mind, what I feel like God put on my heart, was just slow down. Just slow down. There's so many things that are racing through your mind, that are racing through my mind, that I feel like God, just slow down. It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to work out. You can take a minute to breathe and it will not fall apart. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I do that sometimes. And I don't know if you're the same way, but sometimes you just get to going. And you feel like if I take a minute to breathe, it's all going to fall apart. If I don't stay on top of it, who will? But if I don't, who's going to? Quick hint, God. But, who's going to do it? And so I felt like God told me, slow down. And so, just to quiet the noise around me. And it made me think about last last episode, where we're just taking a minute to kind of breathe and to enjoy, spring coming in and spring showing up, and just, taking a moment to pause and to think about it and to enjoy it as it gets here. So I was like, okay, I do need to slow down. I do need to like calm down a little bit, stop trying to like manage everything all at one time, and breathe for a minute. So that was just the one thing. So I believed it and I was working on that. But then I got affirmation when I went to go to a practice at a church. I'll be singing at Ladies Conference. By this time I would have already sang. And so we had to practice for it. So I went to the church, and y'all, on the sign, on the church sign, it literally said, slow down. And I think it's something like invite Jesus for the ride, or let him do something, take control of the journey. I don't know exactly what it said, but I was like, okay, God, I hear you. Okay. Slow down. I think it also meant slow down because it was next to a road. So maybe slow down literally if you're driving, but also to slow down like in the mental, in the spiritual, just take a breather, take time. To breathe for a little bit. And then y'all, so I was like, okay, God, I hear you. Affirmation, I got it. But you know how my favorite number is 3. Apparently God knows too, because like the next Sunday, my pastor preached, and I think it was his title. I don't know if it was title, but I know it's his scripture, Psalm 46, 10, I believe. And it was, be still and know that I am God. And I was like, be still. And then pastor, like the very first part he was telling is like to just slow down and to know that God is God. And I was like, oh my, okay. If I didn't get it the first time, if I didn't get it the second time, let me hang on to it this third time. That I do need to slow down and to think about what God has placed in my life, and just enjoy where I am, because I do very much like to try to speed along life's journey. I like to think about, okay, what do I want to do next, and how do I get there, and let's go. And that's reflected in everything, in my approach to life, in my approach to driving. I'll admit, I'm just trying to get there. And the thing is, I may not even be, there is no reason for me to rush, but I'm like, let's go, let's get there. I'm just trying to get there. So maybe for me, I just need to slow down. Maybe it's something that you can think about. It's something I'll encourage you to do, because it's always good to take a breather, just to kind of breathe, relax, enjoy where you are, enjoy the season, enjoy the beauty of whatever season you are in, and just enjoy it. And a few weeks ago now, almost a month or so ago, we had some power outages that kind of forced everybody to slow down a little bit. And my parents were out of power for a little bit. My husband and I, we ended up being out of power for about 2.5 days. And you talk about slowing down, okay? That'll slow you down for the most part. I remember the day that it was storming, because it was for raining, like thunderstorms and things like that. And the day that it was raining and things, my mom called me and she was like, where are you at? Thinking I'd be at home. And I was like, at the shoe store. And she's like, girl, you don't know how to stay home. That kind of slow down thing. Like, maybe you should not be out in a storm with all these flood alerts and things. But I was like, I just quickly wanted to get some shoes. Like, now that I have time, since school was canceled because of this, let me just run in here and do this and, take advantage of the opportunity. And shopping, because shopping's fun. But that weekend, we did have an opportunity to just kind of slow down because we didn't have power. So we, ate out for the first day or so. But then the second day, we had our kerosene heater, and we were able to put a pan on it, and we cooked breakfast over the kerosene heater, and that was pretty fun. And because it was some chilly nights, we did sleep, like camp out in the living room, and that was pretty fun too. So, I mean, I'm definitely not saying have a power outage or anything, but maybe if there's something that you can do, if you're like, hey, let's shake things up. Like, today we are going to camp out in the living room, by yourself, if you're by yourself, or with your family, just for something fun, just to take a minute, a breather from the craziness and sometimes just the world around us. And it's not saying that it's all crazy, but sometimes it's busy, and sometimes you need a breather, and you don't always have the opportunity to, say, go on vacation and get that. So you got to kind of catch it and make it happen when you can. So thinking about taking a breather, I was on Facebook one of these. Sometimes I have my times off, and I recently got back on, and I decided to set a time limit on it, because I find that if I get on Facebook, I can very often, like, an hour, 2 hours can easily, and I mean easily, go by with literally just the scrolling, whether it's like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter even, just the scrolling, and time can go by. So I set a timer on Facebook, and I had this note that I said, that you're having a rough time where you have to ignore your Facebook limit before you even get out of bed. it was, I don't care. I think it was like a Saturday, so I didn't have to work or anything, but I got on Facebook like first thing, and I set mine for, I believe, 45 minutes before I'm like, okay, that's good enough. You guys, the time that it went on, I was like, oh my goodness, haven't even got out of bed yet, and I've been on Facebook for almost an hour. I've been on Facebook for 45 minutes. That's a bad call. And you guys, to make things worse, I just ignored the limit for the day. I stayed on Facebook. I was like, yeah, but I'm feeling a little lazy, so I'm gonna go ahead and just stay on Facebook. But yeah, so sometimes you do gotta give yourself a little grace and just enjoy it. But Facebook, it's one of those things. It's social media. Sometimes you gotta take a break from it. That can be part of your slowing down process, is taking a break from it and just letting it go. One kind of way I think that I slow down sometimes is when I get home, and I don't think I'm alone in this. A friend of mine, she says that she does this too sometimes, is I'll pull into the garage, and I'll sit there, and I won't go in right away. I'll just sit, play on my phone, wasting time, yes, but sometimes you do need that kind of like winding down. And I would just sit and either finish listening to my podcast or finish listening to my video or play on my phone for a minute, just sitting in the car. Like before going to my next thing, I'll just take a breather to be like, okay. And I'm not even saying like going home is like my next thing. It's not like I go home and I have to all of a sudden do so much more, but just sitting there in that transition and just taking a minute to slow down and to breathe. So holler at me if you've ever done that, like just sitting in your car. I think it's common. I feel like it's something people do. Or is it a weird thing? Is that something that is just my friend and I do? I don't know. But just sitting and taking a breather in my car. And I have this note right next to this simply because it's related to cars, but it has nothing to do with taking a breather or slowing down or anything like that. It's just another thing I notice when it comes to cars. But I noticed that I also get into the lane that I need to be in like way ahead of the time that I need to be in that lane. And so if I need to turn right like 2 miles down, like my GPS will say, in 2 miles, turn right, I will get in my right lane like from forever away and just take it all away. And then if I have to get in the left lane to like pass somebody, I start getting a little anxious. Like I start feeling it in my stomach, like I need to get back over, as soon as possible. Or even if it's like my husband driving or if I'm riding with somebody and I know we have to take a left or a right and we're not in that lane, it could be literally like 5 miles away. And I'm like, okay, we're going to need to take a left. So you're going to need to get in the left lane. And it's 5 miles away, but something in me is like, I've got to be ready because what if at the last minute, I guess nobody lets you over or you miss it or something and it just ruins everything. So that was just something that I noticed with when it comes to cars. I feel like I need to get in the correct lane way ahead of when I need to. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know what kind of psychology I need to look into that to see what that means to me, but that is something that I've noticed. But going back to Facebook, so I was on Facebook, and one of the reasons why I enjoy it is because you do find cool videos. And I had seen a video of recently of this piano player who, I'm a young guy, and he just plays piano, and it's so cool to see, for me, not just him playing, but the reactions of other people around him, like once he plays, like when they'll stop and they'll just look and just enjoy it, and how for him it means something, and he's able to like post it and share it, not just his skills but also the reactions of other people and their skills. And I was like, well, man, how cool would that be to see in person? Like I want to go somewhere to see someone like playing a piano in person. Or have you ever seen those videos where like the people are dancing in the streets? I don't know if they're real or not. Like look at me, I think they're real, but they could be fake, and I'm just being like completely fooled. But if they are real, I think it would be cool to kind of see that, to see just some of the people like in their element and doing their thing, and to be able to respond to that. And I was like, where can I go to see that? I know in one of our malls, we do have a piano where people do play. I think they're hired to play. But so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll go there and just like stand and listen and show appreciation for it. I always just walk past because I'm like, that's their job. But what if I just stood and showed appreciation? I think I might do that. That might be kind of cool. But it would be cool to see that. And I was thinking that, I was like, a lot of times these are also recorded. These are videos that are being recorded. So that also made me think, wherever I go, y'all got to be looking good, because you never know whose camera you're going to be on, whose video you're going to be on. Let me tell you a quick story. So recently, I got this app called Be Real. Okay, I know it's old. I know it's been out for a few years. And I know it was hyped maybe like last year, the year before. But give me some time, okay? So I got on Be Real. And I was like, well, this is kind of interesting. So a few of my friends, some of my teacher friends, we got on it, and and we just follow each other. And it's where you take a picture, and it's your friends in front, or like the people, whatever's in front of you, and also a self-facing, so you as well, but you can't see yourself till after the picture's taken. Crazy. Anyway, so one, I think that's pretty wild, that at any point someone could be taking a picture of you and you don't even know, like, you don't even know what you're looking at. But then it was even more wild. So my daughter, she was over, and of course she's young, and 19, so she's a teen, and she was, but a young adult as well. And she had did the Be Real and took a picture, and I looked on that, and y'all, I was not, in my opinion, dressed appropriately. I was like, it wasn't like I was still covered completely, but I was like, girl, my hair is looking crazy. I have mixed match things on. Like, how you can't just be posting these pictures. Like, thank God they do go away after 24 hours, but man, no matter where you go, you almost have to just be on it, because anybody could be videoing you, and you could be captured on anybody's camera. That is just the world we live in. Wow. Like, how do you become comfortable with that? Like, it's becoming a norm. It's just becoming a thing. Like, you have to kind of know that at any point you could be on someone's Facebook, someone's Insta, someone's Be Real at any point. And that's awkward, but side tangent. Other than, I do want to, find someone who's in their creative space and just appreciate them. And so I think I will go to that mall, and whoever's playing, just stand there for a minute and just kind of show appreciation for their skill and their talent. I think that might be kind of a good thing, because like I said, I saw that on Facebook, and that looked pretty cool to me. So yeah. The next thing I kind of want to talk about is, this past week or so, I've had an opportunity to talk to an old friend of mine, an old childhood friend. And it just made me think about childhood friends. I mean, some of those, your childhood, some of those are the best times. I was reminded with this friend, we used to play this game called Jailbreak after church. And I mean, it's a game where I think, if I can remember correctly, like, there's a group of you who are, I guess, the prisoners, and somebody else jailbreak, and you have to make it all the way around the church building before the police tags you. It's almost like a tag game, and if you get tagged, you have to freeze, and they're trying to get everybody tagged before they make it around the building. And I think if you are one of the jailers, you can, like, untag your friends or whatever. It was pretty fun, but just talking to her briefly via text, I was reminded of that, and I was like, wow, like, sometimes there are some memories when you're a kid. Those are just some of the best times, some of the good old days. And I cannot wait to bring one of my friends on to talk about some memories as well of high school, of middle and high school, because those are some crazy days. But childhood friendships, man, those are great. And if you are blessed to have a childhood friend that you can still stay in contact with, this friend of mine, we don't talk every day or that much by any means, but we do check in with one another and, catch up. And just to have a childhood friend it's a great thing. It is some of the best times. And I always try to, throw out opportunities for you guys to connect or interact with me in any way. If you have a childhood memory that you remember of, like, a game you played or something that you guys used to do that, brings you some joy, or just something that makes you smile, feel free to share it. There is something sweet and something precious about thinking about when you were kids, when life was a little simpler, when things were slower, when those summers were lazy, and you appreciated being outside, running outside from, till dark, when you had to be in before the lights came on, all of those things. When you were told in or out, you can't be coming back and forth, when you had, I remember we lived in apartments, and there were some woods behind our apartments, and we had our own, the neighborhood kids, the apartment kids, like our own tree house. It wasn't an actual tree house, but it was like trees, and we had our club there, and we would meet there, and we would just climb the trees and run around. And I don't even know what we'd talk about, but man, those were some good old times. So if you have any memories like that, feel free to share them. I'd love to read about those and see them. And it would actually be cool. One thing I've been thinking about doing is to continue with, interactions and things, is to, if you write something or share something and you're okay with, I'd love to be able to share it on the podcast to, say like, hey, one of our listeners, someone has said this, and to just to continue to grow the community. I know I've got my experiences and things that I can bring, and I definitely will start bringing guests. In fact, next episode or the next couple episodes might come out, bring a special guest in time for Mother's Day. We will see, but I do want to start sharing some other thoughts and experiences and just things that people would want to share or talk about on the podcast that way. So I want to bring in guests and friends, but also if you want to share something, I would love to be able to read it on the podcast or share it that way. I do know there are voice memos that sometimes people can leave. I do not know how to do that, but I will try to figure that out. If you happen to leave a voice memo, or if you find a way to leave a video comment or anything like that, to share on here as well, that would be awesome. But I'd love to connect with you in that way. So feel free to let me know if there's ways of doing that, and if you would share, and if you're okay with sharing, to put that on there as well. But childhood memories, those are pretty fun. And in fact, I remember when I was a kid, one of the things I would do, it's funny when you're a kid, you're open to a lot of things. You're open to learning things. You're open to trying things. And I remember when I was younger, I wanted to try to learn ventriloquism. I don't know what started that. I don't know what got me thinking, hey, I want to learn how to do this. But I remember like going to the library and looking at books on ventriloquism and trying to figure out, how to do it and practicing it for a couple of weeks. I mean, where did that desire to just try random things go as we get older? I did not figure out how to do it. I think I learned a little bit of it, but not a whole lot. And I know I did try to learn how to do some magic tricks once, and I did learn, I got one magic trick that I think looks pretty cool if I can pull it off, that I've learned from there. But, as a kid, man, the whole world is new to you, and it's like, it's fascinating, and there's so many things that you can learn. But honestly, as an adult, that doesn't have to change, There are still things that I don't know. There are still things that even as an adult that we can experience that we don't know, that it could be fun to do. It's kind of hard because I think a lot of times we don't have the time to do everything. You have to like make time and be very, very intentional. In fact, that reminds me of this. I don't know if you guys have seen this meme or this picture. And it was like, when you're young, I think it was time, money, and energy. And when you're young, you have the time, I think, and the energy, but you don't have the money. And then as you get a little older, you have the energy and the money, but you don't have the time. And then once you hit like old age, you have the time and the money, but you don't have the energy. So it can definitely kind of feel like that sometimes, that you're just like, oh, I don't have all the pieces that I need to do things that I want to do or to make things happen. But I want to encourage you, definitely try your best. Or at least kind of remember it when you were younger and you did get to kind of explore those areas like ventriloquism. I could, like, thinking now, what an interesting skill that would be. If you guys have any, and I'm sorry, I know I keep saying if you guys, it's only because I am curious. I like, for whoever's listening out there, I'd love some interaction. So if you guys have anything that you have tried or some random skill that you have that you'd like to share, let me know. That would be cool. Send a video. I don't know how you can send videos, but I think there are ways to send videos through Instagram. Send a video of you doing some crazy skill. That would be pretty cool. That would be fun. Or at least if you're like, hey, one day I did try to learn how to do this and it did not work. I know as an adult, one thing I did try to do was learn how to play guitar. And I was like, I am going to learn how to play guitar because I want to be one of those cool people who can sing and play guitar. And I did it for like 2 days. And I was like, I can't. My fingers hurt. These chords, I don't know. I played violin, so I knew a little bit about music and stuff. But after 2 days, I was like, my fingers, I can't. I hurt my fingers. So shout out to all you guitarists who stuck with it and are good at it and who built up the finger capacity to be able to do it. It is not easy. So shout out to you. That is pretty awesome. All right. So I want to also talk about, it's roughly related to childhood and things, because the snack is sort of something I think kids mostly enjoy. But when thinking about my food segment of the week, my thought was, what is your perfect midnight snack? The other day I had taken a nap, and I had napped from like 9 p.m. I know, the worst time to take a nap. And got up around literally like 1 or like right up. So not midnight itself, but like 1 a.m. And I was hungry. And I was like, I'm hungry. I don't have to get up the next day. I think I want a midnight snack. And I got what I think is the perfect midnight snack, which is a yummy, crunchy bowl of cereal. I mean, come on. Yes, the bowl of cereal. And I can't even remember. I think it was a Cinnamon Toast Crunch maybe, or Frosted Flakes. Let me just say, let's talk about cereals. Cereals are good. And for the longest, I was deprived of being able to eat cereal because milk doesn't agree with me. And so I went from whole milk down to 2%, still didn't agree, down to skim. It was okay, but still didn't agree. And then I switched over to almond milk. And so for a while, like, I couldn't eat cereal because I couldn't drink the milk. But when I switched over to almond milk, and I drink the almond milk, vanilla, regular sweetened, not unsweetened, because I like the sweet part, it changed my world, and cereal was back available to me again. And I am so grateful. I can't even remember who introduced me to almond milk. Honestly, I don't remember. But thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I am able to eat one of my favorite foods again, which is cereal. And cereal it's a snack. It's a snack, y'all. I could eat like 10 bowls of cereal and still not be full. So it's definitely a snack category. Even though I will eat it for breakfast and things, I can't eat it by itself. I have to eat it with some bacon if I eat it for breakfast. I know, cereal and bacon. Yes, my mom taught me that. That's what we do, cereal with 2 pieces of bacon. It is so good. If you haven't tried it. It's that sweet and salty. I'm telling you, the sweet and salty is so good. Get cereal with some bacon. But speaking of cereal, so my favorite cereals, like I said, I think that night I had maybe Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But I love, the Mount Rushmore of cereals, I would have to say, I guess my top 4 is honeycombs. Boom. Something about the honeycombs is legit. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, right up there with it. Frosted Flakes. These are like my 3. And then 4th, it kind of depends. I like Honey Nut Cheerios. That one's pretty good. I like Reese's Puffs, and that's my other one. So probably between those 2 would be in my top 4. All right, so let me know your top 4 if you have your top 4 of cereals, because cereals are so good. And they're the perfect midnight snack. If you have a different perfect midnight snack, let me know. A close runner-up for a perfect midnight snack is popcorn, I would say. I do like popcorn. I mentioned that, I think, episode 1, that popcorn is pretty good. And I actually, one of my friends, she listened to the podcast, and she said to try to get that crab flavor, have you try Old Bay seasoning? So I'm going to try that and let y'all know if that works to get that crab flavor. But to make homemade popcorn, because y'all, if you haven't had homemade popcorn, it's another one. Get on it. It's good. Homemade popcorn with, Old Bay seasoning. I'm going to have to try that. But anyway, so cereal and popcorn. The top 2 for midnight snacks. That's part of my food segment. It's just the cereal. You got the crunchiness, you got the sweetness, you got the milk, and then you've got and then after you eat the cereal, of course you got that sweet milk with the cereal flavored. Y'all, yeah, you know it's good. Have you guys ever tried that cereal, that the Cookie Crisp? Okay, it sounded like a good idea. And you know me, I love chocolate chip cookies. Those are like my fave dessert of all time, is your basic chocolate chip cookie. And so I thought as a kid that I would really enjoy the chocolate chip, or like the Cookie Crisp, because it's little cookies. There's miniature cookies. But it did not matter how long you put milk over that and how long you let it sit there. Those cookies were not getting soft. And so you're eating that, and it's like scraping the roof of your mouth. Like you're bleeding in there. Like it it was like it was good, but it wasn't like it never got soft enough to really make it enjoyable. And you would try it because it looked good and it seemed good and it sounded good, but it wasn't good because it was so hard. It was just one of those that it never softened enough. So I am sorry to any Cookie Crisp fans out there. That one would probably be my bottom tier when it comes to cereal, simply because it wouldn't soften. And you gotta have that a little bit. You do. And I know my dad, I think he likes the Captain Crunch Oops All Berries. I know he's a fan of that one. And that one is pretty good. I think my sister growing up, she liked the what's the apple one called? It's not my favorite. Apple Jacks, maybe? I think it's what's called Apple Jacks. Yeah. She was a fan of that, which that was pretty good too. But yeah. So let me know. Interact with me. Let me know what your Mount Rushmore, your top tier cereals are, and if you think that's the perfect midnight snack, or if you think hey, I've got a better idea, you should try this. So holler and let me know that. And quickly jumping over to the music segment. All right, so last time we had talked about two songs. I had mentioned Just Like Heaven, which I hopefully got a chance to listen to, on your way somewhere. It's a very cool, chill song, great vocals on it. Brandon Lake is the singer. And also, if you want something a little deeper or something that will kind of gut wrench you and just pull it out of you, Something Has to Break. Kira shared Red Rocks Worship. That was good. The one that I want to talk to you about today, she's a new artist as far as I know. And her name is Chloe Ward. And she recently released, I think her EP, I don't even know what EP stands for, but she's got some songs on there, and I've been listening to it, and they are really good. And one of the songs that I like to listen to is called Lately, and I like it, and I feel like it sort of ties into kind of what I've been talking about lately, but like the whole imperfection things. Like sometimes, lately I've been feeling kind of like I haven't been quite who I wanted to be or who I was supposed to be, and just kind of that feeling of like, sometimes you just feel like you aren't quite where you need to be, and navigating that. And I'm sure she'll explain what it means. I think if you go on her Facebook and follow her or like her, she does have explanations of the songs that she's made, and I haven't had a chance to listen to her explanation, but for me, that's kind of what I got from it. And I really like it. She's sort of like a, she's how do you describe it? She's got a smooth voice. There's beat to it, so it's kind of that, like, it's got some rhythm. I don't want to say R&B, but just sort of like rhythmic, nice, smooth, good sound. But still like upbeat. Like, I don't know. You got to go listen to it. It's hard to describe. It's called Lately by Chloe Ward. She's got some other songs on there that are really great on there. And I think there's 5 of them or more. But anyway, if you get a chance, go follow her on Facebook. Go and listen to this song Lately. It's got good rhythm. She's got a great voice. If you've been feeling like, I just haven't quite been, I just something's been going on lately, then listen to the song. It will definitely, it'll speak to you. You'll connect with her. You'll be like, yes, we're here together. So it's a great song to listen to. So that definitely is my song segment of the week. So, anywho, so thank you guys for listening. This episode, I tried to keep it pretty chill, and hopefully you enjoyed it, pretty lighthearted. I felt like the last few episodes, I was like, man, I am just bombarding them with advice and things. And I do want to say things to encourage you to find joy and things like that. I'm certainly not here to try to tell you how to live your life or anything like that. And so I wanted to, have an episode where it just was, just talking, just chilling, just, catching up with life, thinking about things, enjoying who we are and where we are, knowing that it's okay if we're not perfect. We don't have to be perfect. Perfection is what we strive for, but it's certainly not something that we have to accomplish by any means. And so hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. It is we're getting more into spring. The weather should be warming up and feeling good. Get outside if you get a chance. Listen to the song Lately. Get you a bowl of cereal. Look, okay, real quick before we go, here's what we gotta do, okay? If you don't want to do the midnight snack, you don't want to wait late because you are trying to be a 10 to 6 person and go to bed and wake up early, then we'll leave it for during the day. Sometime during the day when it's beautiful outside, if you have the opportunity, get you a bowl of cereal, okay? Get your phone, whatever you listen to, look up Lately, and Just Like Heaven, because I feel like that would be a good one. Listen to it. Listen to Lately while you're making your cereal, okay? Because when you go outside, once we hit outside, we want to just chill for a minute. So, listen to Lately while you're getting your bowl of cereal. Like, okay, and get my milk. If get your bowl, get your favorite cereal. Make you your 2 pieces of bacon if it's breakfast, and then go outside. Even if you just have to step on your porch, it don't matter who's looking at you. Make sure you look nice because apparently people are recording everything these days. Or if you do not care, it doesn't matter. Step on your porch, even if you're at your apartment, let people look at you funny, it's okay. Step out with your bowl of cereal after you just listened to Lately or Just Like Heaven, and just take in the beauty of the sky. I would say, like, pick a day where it is pretty outside. If you like cloudy days, that's fine. If you want to do it when it's raining, sometimes it's actually pretty cool to look out in the rain and to hear the rain. But if it's a beautiful day and you got the opportunity to take that wonderful bowl of cereal and sit outside and just enjoy that bowl of cereal and looking at the beautiful sky, think back of childhood. Think about, man, if you was a kid, what would you be doing right now? Take just a few minutes, even if it's just for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes can like invigorate you. It can what's the word I'm looking for? Like renew something in you. And it can be worth it. And even if it's right before work, even if you have to, I know one thing I started doing last year was before work, whether I had time or not I would run. I would go out on my back porch and just look at the sky, at the trees, at the land, and just take a minute to get outside of myself and my head. And I would just look at it. I would breathe. And then I would go back inside and be ready to start my day and be like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Just a brief moment, a brief pause to slow down, to get out of your head for a second, and to breathe, to relax, to enjoy, to take a second, 2, 3 for yourself, to just kind of feel it, to feel where you are, to realize that the world is a lot bigger sometimes than what it seems, and that we don't have to do and be in control of everything, and that even if you're a couple minutes late, or if you feel like, oh, I'm falling behind, that it'll be okay, and that it might even still be good. You still might get that conversation you need to have. In fact, you might get that conversation you need to have because you took time for yourself, because you said, I'm gonna give myself 5 minutes. So we'll wrap it up here. I'll leave it on that note, to just take a minute or two for yourself. Take a minute to just slow down, to breathe, to relax, to appreciate the beauty of what's around you, to appreciate what God has done. And I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. Hit me up on Instagram. I would love to see some of the things you guys have. Tell me about your midnight snacks. And yes, I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Bye. Bye.